So I'm going to turn on my camera so I can interact with you guys well. So hello guys, good evening to everyone first of all, and I want to start off this session. There was a sad demise of one of my very favorite actor, Mr. Sushant Singh Rajput, and let's keep like a few minutes silence for his soul. And we wholeheartedly believe that he will be like having whatever wherever he is, he's just be in peace now. Uh, Fine. So on that note, let's start off today's session, man. I've been waiting for this for almost a few weeks now, and I just got connected with Lakshay from Plymouth, and I was really excited about it. So I did made this presentation on advanced reconnaissance because I have been asked a lot of times from the beginners that yes, we are getting into bug hunting, we are actually spending a lot of times, but we don't really find anything apart from duplicates because they really get stuck and they really get looped into some rabbit holes and they just like get stuck into some low level hanging fruits and don't really can understand how to escalate their level of approach. So this is I have added some there I have like added some tree charts and stuff like that which can explain you better and some practicals as well so that you can understand like how exactly things can work for a, specifically in terms of reconnaissance. I want to give big credit for this thing to my very good friend and mentor, Naham Sek, Ben Sitagipur. You can check him on Instagram. He's doing great job. Yesterday was NahamCon. I hope you all were listening to it, and it was a nice one. So let's get back to this thing. Today we are going to deal with some new stuff. Maybe it will be new for you. Maybe it will be just giving you a new perspective. So what do we have here today? Let's take a look in the agenda. We'll go with the overview first of all. We'll see the asset discovery, how it's done, content discovery, how is it different from assets. We'll talk a little bit about the automation part, how we can automate the whole process so that we can do it a bit more better. We'll talk about this interesting thing called digital dumpster diving because obviously it's COVID-19 lockdown and you cannot go into dumpsters to dive in to get some data, right? Okay. Is my voice fine enough? Can you just give me in the chat box if it's okay? Okay, hold on. Let me connect. Okay, do let me know if it is any better now. I hope it will be better. Okay. Yeah, so we're going to talk about digital dumpster diving, which is a great concept wherein we actually find more information about our target. And then maybe we'll talk about some real life examples. I'll show you some of our POCs and some of the kind of strategies I personally use. Um, Talking about reconnaissance, I mean, why is it even important? Why should we do it? So first of all, it is very necessary for self improvement. Networking is a concept wherein we can actually network with different people from the domain and other bug hunters and know their methodologies, their strategies. Even I sometimes learn from the newcomers because they have a very different perspective with things and they just think out of the box and just give me some real good insights that I couldn't think of myself. So yeah, networking is a good thing that you can look for. My career actually was built and boosted with the bug boundaries, to be very frank. The time when I'm not doing jobs, when I'm not having clients, not tasks, nothing else, then I am into bug boundaries most of the time in the day. um and yeah, competition makes it more fun. Why? I mean, just when you are given a task and you're doing it, it's cumbersome, but when you're competing with someone, you have this in adrenaline boost in yourself, and then you are actually more productive. And yes, why not? Everybody does it for money. Who doesn't like some extra cash in the bank, right? Let that be Bitcoin, dollars, Amazon coupons, and we love that, right? We love swags. Although I'm not wearing one right now because I thought it would be cliche. So yeah, swags are one thing, and bounties are the things like that we have to look for when we are performing bug hunting. And reconnaissance is really necessary for this. Okay, So we gotta understand what is reconnaissance. Okay, reconnaissance. If you go with the definition, like a literal meaning, it is used in military operations. All right, it's a military term. It's in use in defense, and it is like scanning the area for a specific target, getting more information about the natural features, characteristics of the environment, like what other activities are happening and what things are happening in that particular attack surface or a focus area of focus, basically. If you talk about reconnaissance from a bug hunter's point of view, we are here basically understanding how the application is built, what are the functionalities, understanding how the application processes the data, how the data is being communicated, transferred, manipulated, modified, right? Finding all the entry points or company assets. Entry points and endpoints are two different things. We'll talk about them in the upcoming time, just in a few minutes. And finding as many files, folders, endpoints, APIs, tokens, etc., etc., etc. Right? This is these things like files and folders and these stuff. These are actually the ones which gives us the bounty, right? Rest all of the things are the concept that we are implementing. If I found an API, if I found, let's say, an open unsanitized parameter, it's up to me what I want to do with it, right? It's up to me. If I know SQL to a good extent, I can maybe perform SQL injection. Maybe I can do XSS. That depends, and that's highly variable. Yeah, that's right. It is live on YouTube as well. If you want, you can go and check on YouTube. Okay, this is a visual guide to reconnaissance. This is a guide, a little complex tree that we are going to follow today. I have divided it into three major concepts: asset discovery, OSINT, and vendor services. Okay, so first we'll talk about asset discovery. What it is, it have two different categories called subdomain brute force and certificate transparency. We have to check for these two things. So I'll start off with asset discovery. So asset discovery have two things, as I said, subdomain and certificate transparency. If you talk about subdomain brute force, it is it is having the concept of brute forcing, right? You know what brute force means if you are into the into this infosec domain so far. If you are into pen testing, you know brute forcing means like comparison of information with some specific entry data, like it can be with the help of word lists, dictionaries, or whatever kind of resources you have. Right. Here in particular for subdomains, what we do is we find different environments, right? So subdomains and directories are quite different. Okay, this is the basic difference you have to understand. So subdomains can have environments like development environments, corporate environments, stager environment, UATs, and different state UATs can be there. So if you are actually finding for those kind of permutations, you can see different environments. Because I personally have seen some of my experience that if there's an authentication that is authentication panel, like there is like a login page which is asking for username and password, which can be different. If I go into a development environment, I don't see the kind of same thing there, right? Which tool to use among these many tools? I'll tell you that as well, Root. Um, just understanding the difference. If you see an example, dashboard.dev.site.com is different from dashboard-dev, right? So these two environments can be different, and the implementation of maybe say JavaScript frameworks or PHP frameworks can be different on both of them. Now, talking about these tools, the one that I personally use a lot is Sublister. Obviously, I also use sometimes VirusTotal, although it's not a tool, it's a web application. That's a good one. I use DNS Scan, I use NotPy, I used All DNS. These are the ones which I use in general, but yeah, you can use any of them depending on whatever ones you like. Right. Um, if you see, Google docking is a very simplest form of hacks that you can talk about, and Google docking can be also be used for this as well. Which one you find most efficient? Okay, I cannot say which is most efficient because it depends on the kind of algorithm it's working with. Sublister, I find so far the most efficient one. DNS scan is good one as well, but it requires a different implementation, so I can name them too, right? But I've given all of them because developers have made it, and I like to tell that. If you have more, if you are like guys are using something more, maybe put that in the YouTube comments, or maybe just share that on Instagram, tag me. Yeah, and yeah, that's it. So okay, another question I have. So is there any way I can automate all these tools into one and save my time using multiple tools? Of course, Root, in the upcoming time, just in a few more minutes, I'm going to talk about automation part as well. Once I'm done with the different categories, I'll talk about the automation part. So this is in the session. So, yeah. be on the scene. Right. Google Docking, as I said, like you guys might know it, so I'm not going to waste time. If you don't know, learn the concept of Google Docking. It's pretty easy, nothing much. You can just simply look for site, and you can look for different kind of environments. You can use the syntax accordingly for the Google Docking. Um, Talking next about brute forcing, as one of the member who just said, like it can be really cumbersome, to use all the tools one by one. So it's super boring. It's super stupid to just use it manually when you have the concept of automation. Of course, it's 2020. You're not going to sit on this chair for almost 8 hours straight and doing nothing. So we're going to talk about automation in a few while for sure. I'll tell you that. Talking about certificate transparency, this is something that a lot of bug hunters don't really look into, because if you are targeting a specific domain, and if the organization actually cares about their domain, they will definitely give it a certificate, right? So if the subdomains or if the other assets are not having the particular certificate, you can skip that, or maybe you can just change your priorities depending on the certificate. How you can check for certificate transparency is with the help of this amazing utility called Census. Right. It looks for the SSL certificates, whichever application that you want to search for. I'm looking for Uber here right now in this picture. I don't know. I hope it is clear enough to so that you can see this command here. Okay, one thing. I'm going to share this whole presentation for sure with the Plymouth people, and I hope they will share that with you. Otherwise, I'll share the drive link on my Instagram. If you want, you can check it out. So the syntax over here is actually looking for the SSL certificates available for the domain of Uber or for other alternate domains for Uber, right? Let's say if there is any domain like, if I give you for example, this is a seed cloudfront.net. It's an Amazon AWS domain. Okay, so you can see other pages. Maybe you can just look for another website like Snapchat. There is also one interesting domain called pizza.snapchat. So yeah, you can look into it. It's pretty interesting. Right. So moving forward, this is how you can check for SSL certificates. Census is a great tool. The APIs are really nice and really easy to use, not a big deal. Right. Another thing I can talk about is Shodan. Shodan is amazing. Okay. I don't know, like a lot of people, a lot of bug hunters, pen testers, I don't know if they know about Shodan or they don't use it for some reason. I don't know why, but it gives you really good insights on a particular target. For IoT devices, it's amazing. For different reconnaissance purpose, it's really good. You can filter for different kind of subjects like ports, different port numbers. These are some default ones that you can go for. You can give a specific title, like it's a Jira dashboard, it's a Jenkins dashboard. The product is Tomcat, it's Apache, it's Struts or whatsoever. You can give a host name, like I said, who is Gamora, and the organization who said it or who made it. And then you can talk about the SSL certificate provider. Shodan is amazing tool. And the best part is, if you're a student, you can get it for free, or you can maybe just get a discount. Recently, they were selling it for a single dollar. I get that. So I have a pro version of Shodan. I'm not going to answer the question why pro is better, because I want you to do it, definitely. But you should, and you will see that. So Shodan can be a good one. I was searching here for Uber for port number 443. Again, I got some pages, some links basically for Uber itself. The list goes on. I just have a small screenshot here for the lack of a good space. But yeah, you can do practical, or you can do your own research depending on your targets. I took the screenshot from the time when I was doing bug bounty and Uber, and I got the bounty. I'll talk about it later. Okay. Talking next is from the tree we have is OSINT, the open source intelligence, right? Not a lot of people know what is the difference between OSINT and reconnaissance. There's no difference. OSINT is completely dependent on passive reconnaissance, okay? And this is where we actually collect information from the open source information, which is available publicly, right? Okay, just to before I proceed further, let me know if there is any kind of question, or if you find difficulty with the voice or anything that you want to add up. Just let me know in the chat box. Maybe here or maybe on YouTube. Just feel free for that. So if you talk about OSINT, we have two different things. I'm going to talk about ARIN, right? American Registry for International Numbers, and then there is acquisitions. Two very interesting things, and they can give you really, really good information about a particular target. I personally find it nice. Talking about first, we talk about acquisitions, right? Because why not? This website called Crunchbase actually gives you information about a company, that what exactly is the company about, what are the financial details, how many acquisitions they have done. So acquisition literal meaning is that if I'm acquiring some XYZ company, that means I'm owning it. Just like Google recently acquired, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, Google recently acquired Fitbit, if you don't know. Similarly, if I'm making a recon on a target, I can see what other companies the target own. Because as you see, like Facebook is owning Giphy and Sanzaro games. So Giphy is a very famous platform from GIFs, right? You might be using GIFs as well on your daily chats with your friends, girlfriends, or whatsoever. So Giphy is the platform that is owned by Facebook. So if I find a vulnerability in Giphy, and if they have like a security team understanding it, so I get the bounty from Facebook, right? So that's the best part. Now I'm not having a single target, but I'm having a really big attack surface which I can play with, right? Now my playground just got increased maybe multifolded times. So yeah, it's nice. Usually these domains get in scope after 6 months after of acquisition. There is a limit of viewing 7 to 5 results without the pro version anyway to see more results. Yeah. Um get the pro version. Why not? That's what I'm saying. Like when you use it, you will know why you need pro, right? Uh, there is a hack for that, of course there is, but I'm not here to motivate, stuff like cracks and other stuff. I'm not here for that, so I'll not support it. But if you know it, it's better. You maybe can, if you guys are friend, you can share that with each other. So talking about acquisitions, if let's say Facebook acquired a company tomorrow, it's not like I can start hunting day after tomorrow. It takes 6 months to get in scope. So it maybe take like 6 to 7 months, maybe hard to hard 9. I have seen, but yeah, that's okay. You can do your research accordingly. This can be variable depending on the target. So yeah, go for the big giants like Yahoo, Google. Like yeah, sure. Inspect Element, Pro Hack 101, Inspect Element. Why not? Right. Okay. Give this man a medal. All right. Moving forward from acquisitions. So I hope you understand what exactly I meant when I said acquisition is a good source. This is a great source for OSINT. Next is Erin. Erin is amazing. Okay. It is having like a website. You can just go there and put your target. I'm looking here for Yahoo actually, and I got inspired for this from Nahamsek. So I'm going to give a shout out to him again. And Yeah, so if I'm looking for a particular organization like Yahoo, I can see like how I can see the network resources, like what kind of IP addresses are there, right? The kind of ranges of IP addresses. I might be able to brute force into those IP addresses, and I can see what kind of port numbers are there. I can make an Nmap scan and see what kind of services are there. So now I'm not limited to yahoo.com, but I am also, expanding my attack surface to a very big extent. I'm looking into more and more information of different targets and different endpoints of Yahoo itself, right? So if I find a vulnerability in those ones, again, it's a bingo for me, right? So that's where you can do it. So Aaron can be a really good source. Aaron, the platform actually can be a little complex to understand, but once you do it, I think once you fiddle with the platform, you'll be able to understand much better. Um, Now, next is the content discovery. We are done with the awesome part. We are now getting to the content discovery, right? Um, Now, after asset discovery and OSINT, we have seen a lot of stuff, a lot of attack surfaces. We have seen subdomains, different certificates. We have seen different acquisitions and other more attack surfaces and vectors with Aaron and acquisition. So now we have got a lot of content to deal with, right? So this we can actually play here with the content discovery part. We can actually see what kind of what kind of ports are there, what kind of services are there, directories and the files including in the directory, different kind of JavaScript files that we can play with. So there's a lot of stuff I can play with now. So now when I come to content discovery, what we're dealing first is the port scan, right? You should look for different default ports. I mean, this is a common practice every bug hunter is doing. I know that. That's awesome. If you don't know it, that's the only reason I added this slide in here. Don't mind it. So you look for files and directories, very obviously. You screenshot open ports like port number 80, 443, 3306, random. These are common ones. I'll tell you how to do the screenshot part. Okay, that is an automation process. I'll tell you that. It's very interesting and very necessary. So screenshot here, I don't mean like you take a snip of your screen. Screenshotting means like if the port number is active and having some information, it will give that back to me. Otherwise, if the port number is not active, it will not give that back to me. And I don't need to wait for the scan to complete. I can just put that in the back end and I can do other stuff. That is what screenshotting means. It is an automated process for different domains. You can do it. I'll tell you how. You can see an open port like 8443. You can do the directory brute force. For example, let's say you get admin, but it's 403. So 403 stands for a forbidden response code. That means the admin directory is not available. This is the very simplest form of vulnerability once I found a few time back. So I just wanted to tell you that users.php was active, and in the users.php, I can change the token number and I can access different user information. So that was really interesting that admin is having 403, but I can access a PHP page in it. So yeah, simplest form of it. So this is what you can get from content discovery. If I talk about the common ports, you can take a screenshot right now for these common ports. I scan personally, right? You can take screenshots with this amazing Python tool called webscreenshot.py, right? You can find this on GitHub. Usage is pretty easy. If you know how to use a Python tool, you can use it as well. You just need to give the list of the port numbers and the target, and that's it. Directory brute force is really simple. Directory buster is there. That dir search, the fourth one, is the one which I use personally because I can automate it to a very good extent. I can save results. You see, I can filter the results as much as I can. Derby is their directory buster, as I talked about. So these are some really good tools. If you know more, please share. Right, share with the community. Share with me if you want. If I'm missing out some here, right. So screenshotting is really necessary. You should definitely look into it. These are common ports. And again, I'm saying you can maybe take a screenshot if you need. And now we are going to talk about something really important, automation, because webscreenshot.py is a tool which actually works on a specific target, but I can actually automate it as well. Automation can really help out to a very great extent wherein we can practically, extract as much information as I can, right? Okay, so I want to wait here for a few seconds and I just ask you guys, do you have a question? If you want to ask something from it, or if you just want to say, add something to whatever I'm talking about, just feel free for that. Okay. Indian OSINT, okay. So somebody's asking like automating tool for Indian OSINT. Unfortunately, there are very less tools to be very frank, right? When we talk about Indian domains and Indian targets, there is very less functionalities which actually deals with the information for Indian companies. Crunchbase can definitely have because they deal with different kind of clients and services. But when it comes to small group companies which do not have like their phone number details and stuff like that, so tools are really less. But I'll find and I'll maybe make a list of it, and I'll share that guys with you guys. Right. If anybody in this session knows of some tool, you can just share it here. Right. So yeah, another question is being bypassed. That is actually when that is actually a vulnerability of its own, right? It's when it gives 403 forbidden message, obviously. So it cannot be bypassed in per se, but there is a possibility that if it is not enabled properly, or because you see this forbidden thing is being delivered from the server, right? So in order to change it, there can be scenarios where you can maybe make changes on the server side, like maybe an SSRF attack, some sort of that, right? It can only be done with the help of some pre-existing vulnerability, right? Otherwise, it's not quite possible, right? Working on it since from half a year, but automating with vernacular language is pretty hard, even after skimming from Google Translator. I understand that, man. Uh, skimming from Google Translator. It's okay. I see like you're going the hard way. Sorry for that, buddy. I'm going for people search. Okay. what can I probably do with trace method? Because these days modern framework restrict the use of Ajax, as I've read. Definitely, Ajax is being restrict. Like you cannot use Ajax in these days because the frameworks are getting, updated every day. So if you actually want to bypass or do something with the trace method, I'll probably, okay, you know what? I'm going to tell that in this part itself. Okay. So in automation, okay, we are starting off with a different thing, but I'll come back to that part uh, after once we are done with this. So AWS reconnaissance, AWS reconnaissance automating is simple. You just do it with Google Doc, not a big deal. You can repeat that on GitHub as well, because AWS is uses buckets and instances, and they can be used for the same as well for gathering information, and that can be really helpful when it comes to doing the reconnaissance. Next, what we can do is digital dumpster diving. Okay, I'll come to that part. Um, okay, digital dumpster diving basically deals with the leak credentials, API tokens, authorization headers, and the list goes on and on and on and on, right? So the leaks are basically everywhere. So if you talk about a list of leaked credentials, this is where the dumpster diving is actually coming in hand, because sometimes organization basic do forget that. If you say like you're using Ajax and JavaScript and stuff like that, you see here, sometimes organization even forget different subdomains, different domains that they may have made in the past, and they now forgot to, to disable them. GitHub reconnaissance plays a very, very big role in this case, because sometimes I've personally seen Trello and GitHub pages having a lot of internal information being disclosed, right? There are a lot of bug hunts that have made that Trello is like a board. It's like a community board where you can put information and you can discuss about it. So GitHub, you know it already what it is. So there are different tools like GitRob. Trufflehog is one of my favorite one that it actually gives me a really good reconnaissance report. Supervisor is good one because it can work with GitLab also. That is an alternative. It can work maybe with different other things like Dropbox maybe. So you're not gonna do, if you're gonna do it manually, you're gonna do it this way, because this is all these are some of the Google Docs. Maybe you can use that. You can look for company.com/dev, or you can look for API keys or authorizations for different APIs, or maybe you can get creative depending on the kind of endpoints you're looking for. So GitHub reconnaissance can play a really big role and really important role in this case. Um, okay, I was gonna give an example, but I'll do it later. Okay, talking about different creations that you can look for, these are the ones. If you will see here, we are talking about JWTs, the Java tokens, right? The web script tokens. So these tokens are a new way of authentication as well. There is SSO login. These are all basically keys, right? Tokens, keys, APIs, or whatever you call it. Not API, actually, tokens and keys, or whatever sensitive information you can say in a nutshell. So these keys can be helpful in order to gather more information about a particular target. So these are the ones which I go through. If you have something new to add, please do that as well. I'll really appreciate. Moving forward, there's an amazing tool called archive.org. Now, this tool is being taught to a lot of people. A lot of people might know about it, but you don't really use it you don't justify the use of it, to be said. You can actually select the target's previous versions of how they used to look, and you can actually take out some JavaScript. Like, as you said, Ajax is not being implemented and not being utilized because of the new frameworks, right? Maybe the site was not having like in its older version, right? Let's say if this company quick salt support that I'm looking for is having you can say is having some new framework being implemented, which is not allowing me to implement any of the other kind of scripts, right? But if I go into the earlier version, if the JavaScript was not that strong, if the framework was not there, how it was then, right? That way I can compare the current and the old situation, and I can see like what kind of endpoints and APIs were being used back then. If the API is not having those kind of credentials being shown, now I can see it in the previous version, right? If some previous version is having some access token which are still being used but not shown, I can recall from there and I can use it now. So this way we can actually go back into time and you can get information. Okay, okay, give me a cheer, like how many of you seen Mr. Robot? I'm pretty sure like a lot of you might have seen that, right? So Mr. Robot have this instance, I believe in season 3, I guess, wherein this guy was being interviewed and he talked about Wayback Machine as well to gather more information about that particular organization. I don't know if you get the reference. I'll put that on Instagram and I'll just tag. I'll tag Plymouth so that they can also put on their stories. So yeah, you've seen all seasons. Nice. So Wayback Machine was being used in one of them. Tushar have seen that. Cool. Awesome. So that was, I think, in season 4. I don't really remember it, but I have a little memory from that. So yeah, find the JS files. JS files plays a very, very important role. Recently, I don't remember the name of the guy. I'm sorry, I'll give him a shout out later. But that guy found actually a bug, and that was a disclosure in the JavaScript file itself. He was able to see the kind of password reset tokens, and he was able to do the account takeover just by looking into JavaScript files, right? So those kind of real good vulnerabilities can be there. He just got almost $900, I guess, 900 or $1,000, somewhere between that, and that was nice. It was quite simple vulnerability that anybody can look into but don't really check out. So I think this should be done when you're doing reconnaissance. Digital dumpster diving is really important, right? Talking about JavaScript files, you can see some sort of things like this. JS parser can be an amazing tool for this. Okay, this is amazing tool. So this tool basically gives you endpoints, and this gives you API keys, some important stuff that you are the juicy stuff. Basically, if I say in the layman language, which you're actually looking for when you're doing reconnaissance, it look for hidden endpoints. It look for cloud instances, which we really appreciate, secret keys, and more bugs, because JavaScript, most of the bugs happen because of JavaScript, if you know, because if JavaScript makes most of the internet and the functionalities, and if there are it is not properly sanitized, then definitely it's going to have a bug. XSS is something that a lot of people don't really, they don't really give enough relevancy, but DOM-based XSS can be something that can be exploited in almost every website if you are actually looking into JavaScript properly, right? There is this amazing tool with there's this amazing video from my friend Stock. He put that on his YouTube. You can check that maybe later, wherein he was actually using in inspect element to find excess bugs, and they were really good bugs. I mean, they were not just like new bugs, but really good ones. And he actually found a lot of parameter tampering from that as well. So yeah, of course, you can find bugs from those kind of simple utilities if used properly. So JS parser is one of those utilities. You can get that from GitHub. Usage is pretty simple. Again, you just have to install it simply. Yeah, so that's pretty much about the complete visual guide to reconnaissance, how reconnaissance can be really helpful if you're actually looking into all of them. Next that we are covering up is the vendor services, right? We have already seen a lot of other stuff. We have seen this leak credentials. We have seen cloud services. Pastebin sites can be there. If you are aware of Pastebin, it's a very good utility. And a lot of hackers, you can actually literally find 0 days using Pastebin. Google Docs, right? Just do Pastebin Google Docs. You can find courses, study materials, and whatnot. Pastebin is really full of amazing stuff. I wonder, like, if someday Pastebin goes down, it's going to be really tough for people to exist because a lot of people do actually depend on that, including me. So yeah, man, that's basically how you can actually use reconnaissance and automation and different kind of tools that we just talked about, different kind of endpoints, different kind of utilities, and a little few techniques in order to gain more information about a particular target. We talked about acquisition. You should definitely look into it. Companies that were acquitted at least 6 to 8 months before, start finding bugs on them. I want to give you a pro tip here. Facebook.com have this thing called Workplace at Facebook. There are plenty of bugs, believe me. I just recently found one and I'm going to get a bounty in the next few days. So I'm just giving a spoiler attack here. But yes, spoiler here. So yeah, definitely you should look into Workplace at Facebook. It is having plenty of bugs, believe me. So yeah, so that was a tip that I wanted to add. If you have some questions, feel free to ask. I hope I answered that one, that you can maybe look into JavaScript files that are having a previous version for a particular target if you want to see like how Ajax or how other kind of scripts or frameworks can be bypassed. So that can be helpful. So if you have some questions, you put that in the comment section. If you want to look for with email or mobile number, what is a good resource for that? Okay, good one. So if you're looking for email or mobile number, I think social media can be great enough for reconnaissance. If you're, I mean, you know that might probably that LinkedIn is there. right? If you're looking into corporates, go with the emails, look on LinkedIn, right? If there are websites, you can look into the source codes. You can see email harvesters are there. You can use that as well. There's this cool, awesome tool called the Harvester. It actually collects emails as well. You can look into it, right? So I think that will be better. But this will be highly implemented in a better way on Western companies or Western targets. Indian targets still lack this kind of feature because there's no such kind of repository directory which actually have the Indian numbers or contact details. But there's awesome tool, awesome web application called Zoba Corp that actually gives you information for a particular company and the owners of the company, who owns it, where is the location. Maybe if they are not, if they're stupid enough, they might have given their phone numbers and emails. So yeah, you can look into it. The old school whois.com is there because why not? For Indian icon app for Android. Icon is good, but I don't really find it dependable. But okay, I mean, if you find it relevant enough, you can give it a try for sure. But that the numbers, I think like they are not really relevant enough. But yeah, okay, you can give it a try for sure. I tried that once a few time back, but didn't really work out. If you're looking, also you can look for leaked databases. You see that those numbers can be leaked into there. You can look on have I been pawned. You can see like that email where exactly they are being used if they have been pawned before. So you can actually check like what exactly the target is into, what kind of social media they use. So yeah. Any other questions? Anything that you want to add? You want to ask? Okay. I am not able to see that on YouTube. Let me just check the YouTube chat box as well in case I missed something. I'm starting on that in my cell phone here. Somebody is asking Rishabh Patel. I don't know if you're still here. I hope you are. And he says which programming we should learn and why is it important? Which programming language? I mean, just go with all of them. I mean, you should have a target to learn all of them because definitely at some point of time you're gonna get it used to it. I would say like it's not urgent to learn all the languages, but it is necessary. So it is not urgent, but it is necessary to learn all the languages. So if you want to start off, maybe start with Python. Python is something that I love probably for almost like 6 years now, right? And yeah, uh, that's what you can use. So Ultra Attacker is asking how to find subdomains of a subdomain. Okay, yeah, it's nice. You can use Google Dorking. You can use Sublister. It does that actually, right? If you give, okay, let's suppose if there is this subdomain in my previous slides. Let me just go back a bit. Yeah, if there's a subdomain like dashboard.dev.site.com, I can give sublister this particular subdomain included, and it will find the subdomains for even for this one if they exist any, right? So I just need to give the target. I need to change every time. So that's it. You can maybe try this on VirusTotal. VirusTotal is a good one for that, I think. Smint resources. Okay, Smint resources. That's nice. Okay. Can you just did you just made a mistype or am I not getting Smint? Can you put that again, Dipanshu Sharma? Okay, let me clear that. Engineer Dipanshu Sharma, if that's what ER stands for. Social media intelligence. Okay, yeah, my bad. Okay, I am an old school guy. I don't understand all these jargons these days kids are using. So Smint, I think okay, there used to be some really good tools for that, okay, but maybe you can use this awesome operating system called Santoku, or it have really good collection of tools. Facebook and Twitter utilities were being or used earlier. The APIs were being used, but I think Google Docking is the best one so far. Or maybe you can just get and dwell into social media directly, use their APIs that they are providing, and maybe just use some manual ones. You can search GitHub. A lot of people might have done that because I personally am not into much of social media intelligence because I feel that it doesn't really give me a lot of information personally, but this can be variable with others. I might be wrong for you guys, but that's okay. That's how I roll. Which Linux distro you use personally? I use a lot actually. I use my main system have Linux, Kali Linux, obviously. My this system is dual boot. It's having a Windows 10 and Parrot OS. My another laptop have Ubuntu. I have a Raspberry Pi which is having Linux Mint. So yeah, so I mean like I use a lot of them. I use virtual machines which is having maybe tens of them. So I use almost all of them. Any other questions, guys? Come on, put it down. Okay, I'm sorry, Plymouth guys. I'm really sorry, but I'm plugging in my Instagram channel as well, Terabyte Official for that. And I just made a new post. Maybe you can check. Additionally, you can also reach me out any point of time. You can reach out anybody at VR Plymouth, and they're doing a really great job. First of all, kudos to you guys for all the seminars you have been hosting for so far, and I really enjoyed them, to be honest. And I hope this one was interesting enough. Um, yeah, so I think the questions aren't there anymore, and I consider this as the end of the session. So if you guys have anything else, you can please put that in the comments, DM me, you can reach me out. You can see you have seen Terabyte Official the whole time on the top. I am available on Facebook and Instagram with this thing itself. You can reach me on Twitter at Real Terabyte. Yeah. Try every OS. It's improving your knowledge. Why not? Of course. Try every single OS, right? Not at the same time, of course, but yeah. Okay, yeah. So that's a thank you note from me. That is the end of the slide, and that is the end of my presentation. I hope it was helpful enough. And yeah, I